SCP-096, one of the scariest SCPs in the Foundation, is famous for reaching just about anyone that remotely looks at its face and killing them. Because of this dangerous ability, the anomaly has been scheduled for termination, but everything we've tried so far has proven unsuccessful. But what if we paired it against an anomaly which likes to take its victims into an alternate reality, namely SCP-2521? In this SCP Exploration episode, we explore an SCP-096 vs SCP-2521 battle. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel with notifications on, so you don't miss any of our upcoming Exploring SCP videos. And if this video gets 1500 likes, we will explore where SCP-2521 takes all of its victims in a separate video. Before we start thinking about how an SCP-096 vs SCP-2521 fight would look like, we first need to think about how such a battle could even begin. We have two possibilities. The first one is to somehow make SCP-096 attack 2521, and the second one is to have 2521 attack the Shy Guy. Let's begin with the second one. As we know, SCP-2521 is an anomaly that is triggered by word-based communication about it, and takes away the person that talked about it into an alternate reality, and the said human is never again to be seen. But unfortunately, SCP-096 lacks any higher brain functions and is not considered to be sapient, so we can't just have the Shy Guy read SCP-2521's information out loud and as such trigger it. With that said, we could try something else. If we search for SCP-2521 experiments, the first thing we find is that it has already been tested with SCP-682. And because the Foundation also couldn't convince the hard-to-destroy reptile to read information out loud, they used a laser to carve out the info-hazardous data onto SCP-682's hide. This of course made SCP-2521 appear, and the mysterious creature latched itself onto SCP-682, ripped the piece of skin that carried this information and de-manifested. So should we try the same method and carve out information about SCP-2521 on the Shy Guy, or are we going to get the same outcome? In order to answer this question, we have to understand why the SCP-682 experiment ended as it did. And the answer is quite obvious. SCP-682 is very large, and SCP-2521 has only successfully taken documents and D-Class personnel back to its dimension, never something as large as the hard-to-destroy lizard. This would imply that 2521 is intelligent enough to realize this, which is something to keep in mind. However, SCP-096 is 7 feet 10 inches or about 2.4 meters tall, which makes it only slightly taller than SCP-2521. This means that 2521 could very well take the Shy Guy to its dimension, and as such, making SCP-2521 attack 096 could indeed work. But before we go any further, let's quickly explore the second possibility, namely making the Shy Guy attack 2521. As we know, SCP-096 attacks anyone that views its face, and if no one observed it, only attacks if its life is in danger. But unfortunately, having SCP-2521 observe the Shy Guy's face could prove rather difficult, because we don't know if 2521 has a pair of eyes. Let's not forget that the Mysterious Monsters wiki description has no written information, due to the anomaly's effect, of course, so we don't know if the artistic depictions that feature a heart on the creature's face depict a large eye, or something else. And even if SCP-2521 has an eye, we don't know if SCP-096 would be enraged by the tentacle monster, because in the Shy Guy's wiki description, it is hinted that 096 only attacks people. However, let's not forget that SCP-096 has also been triggered by SCP-682, so the Shy Guy probably attacks any sapient creature that observes its face. And as we already said, SCP-2521 is intelligent enough to realize it cannot take the hard-to-destroy reptile back to its pocket dimension because of its size. So if 2521 has an eye, it would probably trigger the Shy Guy. But what if it doesn't? How would we enrage SCP-096 and make it attack 2521? The first thing that comes to mind is to introduce someone else to this experiment, for example a D-Class. We know very well what happens when a prisoner speaks about SCP-2521. The creature comes and takes him or her away. But what if we made the D-Class observe SCP-096's face before speaking about 2521? And what if we timed it perfectly, so that SCP-096 begins attacking the prisoner right as SCP-2521 is trying to take the victim away? This would most certainly lead to a situation where both anomalies are fighting over the D-Class. As we know, SCP-096 lacks any higher brain functions, and is nothing more than an automation that devours anything that observes its face. And we also know that SCP-2521 entangles its victims in its sticky tentacles when it takes them away. This means that while attacking the D-Class, SCP-096 would most definitely involuntarily attack SCP-2521 in the process. 2521 would either have to release the D-Class, something it doesn't like doing, or would have to fight off SCP-096 so that it can safely take the prisoner to its dimension. Either way, we have a fight on our hands. We can't say for certain how SCP-2521 would go about fighting 096, and if it would start fighting 096 right then and there, or if it would try to bring the Shy Guy into its pocket dimension first. However, the tentacle monster's capabilities remind us of SCP-106, an aggressive anomaly which can also travel to its own pocket dimension, and the old man always prefers to drag its victims into its own territory before fighting, so this scenario would probably be more likely with SCP-2521 as well, and the fight will likely end in the tentacle monster's alternate reality. So it seems that regardless of which anomaly attacks the other one first, the fight will most likely end in SCP-2521's pocket dimension. But how would this battle look like exactly? And would SCP-096 manage to escape? To be fair, we don't really know what SCP-2521 does with its victims when it takes them away, and we plan on exploring this in a video soon, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss this, but for the purpose of this video, we don't need to know. If we write the cognitohazardous information on SCP-096's body and 2521 brings the Shy Guy into its alternate dimension, this would probably enrage 096. And if we try the D-Class method, then the Shy Guy would already be enraged, and SCP-2521 would need to defend itself in order to stay alive. As we already know, SCP-096 becomes practically unstoppable when it is enraged, so we doubt it would be terminated by SCP-2521. However, 2521's tentacles must be very strong and sticky, given the fact that it successfully tore the skin off of SCP-682's body, so it could prove strong enough to entangle SCP-096 and keep it incapacitated for a short while. So it appears the fight results in a stalemate. SCP-2521 is intangible, making it very difficult for SCP-096 to reach it and attack it, and 2521 can't deal any real damage to the Shy Guy. This fight would probably go on for hours, just as the SCP-682 and 096 fight did. And in the Reptile vs Shy Guy battle, both anomalies simply stopped attacking one another in the end, so we could expect a similar outcome during the SCP-096 vs 2521 battle. But this time, there is one major difference. This isn't taking place in our reality, but in SCP-2521's pocket dimension. Even if both anomalies eventually got tired of attacking each other, SCP-096 is still trapped in a pocket dimension, and given the fact that it hasn't been seen capable of teleportation or bending reality, it probably wouldn't find a way out. So in this situation, we once again have two possibilities. The first one is that SCP-096 calms down and simply starts wandering in SCP-2521's pocket dimension, and the tentacle monster decides to leave it alone. In this case, SCP-096 would be contained forever, which is an excellent result, of course. However, we don't know if SCP-2521 would be fine with having such a dangerous creature wandering around its own reality. And it is also possible that SCP-096 somehow senses that it's in an alternate dimension and never exits rage state as a result, forcing SCP-2521 to either release it or keep fighting it off forever. In this case, SCP-2521 could decide to entangle the Shy Guy, bring him back to our reality, leave him and demanifest. And if this happens, we will have achieved nothing. So to sum it up, we have a few ways of making an SCP-096 vs SCP-2521 fight take place, and the fight will more than likely end in the latter's pocket dimension. Given the fact that SCP-096 is near unstoppable when enraged, and that SCP-2521 is intangible, the fight will probably result in a stalemate. The only two ways the battle between the two can end is if both anomalies stop attacking one another, stranding SCP-096 in an alternate reality, or if SCP-2521 brings the Shy Guy back to our world. So it seems we either have the best possible outcome, containing SCP-096 forever, or don't lose anything. And seeing as we haven't found a way to terminate SCP-096 yet, this experiment might be worth conducting, after all. This concludes our theory on the SCP-096 vs SCP-2521 experiment. So do you think the fight would result in a stalemate? And would SCP-2521 decide to release 096 after the fight? Let us know in the comments below. Please make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, as we have many more interesting SCP videos coming up. And if this video gets 1500 likes, we will explore what SCP-2521 does to all the D-Class when it takes them away. And as always, we will see you in the next video.